Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a beautiful day or night or whatever it is for you currently. So, I just wanted to make a little video talking about basic history because I'm seeing a lot of people, rightfully so, call the system for what it truly is, the systems of division, racism, hatred, us versus them, and all that. And I'm seeing a lot of videos of people waking up, calling racism for what it is, and actually putting true history out there, true inventors, true events, and different things like that. And so I'm seeing a lot of videos talking about the history of Europe right now. So I just want to do a little edification and help you guys understand fully. You guys hear me in a few of my videos talking about different beasts from four time periods and four nations that arose up out of history. And these are the beasts from the Bible. As I've told you all before, when I read the Bible or look at the Bible, I don't look at it like a book of spells or magic or all that magical religious stuff. I look at it like a history book for edification from different time periods. So if somebody tells me about something in history and then it reminds me of something from the Bible, it's because it's like a history book. Those times happened, but they were recorded. And because of the religion at the time, those words lived on. They might be different than the actual translations, but that's how it works. It's like a game of telephone. So back around 43 AD, around those times, you had Julius Caesar, or you had a major Caesar, right? He was around those times. And what happened was, first, before even that, you have four nations that would attack Jerusalem. All right. Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Now, Greece and Rome are like kind of European nations. Rome definitely is. It's a part of Italy. So what happened was once Rome came into play and once they ransacked Jerusalem and took over, what they ended up doing was they conquered most of Europe. And I mean almost all of Europe. And even outside of Rome, it was still Rome, but they changed the name to the Roman Catholic Empire, or the Holy Catholic Empire. So what the Romans did was, everybody likes to talk about slavery and how slavery came to be. Okay. Before Africa was dissected and any of this happened, before Europeans had any of this power, Romans went up north and started conquering Ireland, Britain, and all these European countries. I mean, you're talking slaves everywhere. You guys have seen the movie The Gladiator with that actor Russell Crowe. The Gladiator was really accurate in the sense that there was slaves everywhere. During the time of the crucifixions and all that crucifying stuff that happened, which I believe the man that was crucified is a man named Yehohanan. You guys can Google who is Yehohanan. That's just based on the information that I was given, which would have been John the Baptist, Yehohanan the Immerser. And they took John's story and ran rampant with it. The Romans did. So what happened was the Romans enslaved all these people in Europe. That was the first set of slavery from the Romans. Spartacus, look him up. Spartacus had an uprising and they tried to fight the Roman Empire, but they got destroyed. It was slaves that uprised and they got destroyed and they were completely crucified, all of them. You guys talk about African-American slavery being the worst. This is where I come in and advocate. All slaves and at all time periods, people were done terrible, wicked, nasty things to. That's in the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Everything happens over and over until we are able to break this curse, this system, this fall. So they were enslaving all these white people, Caucasians, white and black, and all that didn't exist back then. You were a person. You were the country that you were from. Because I'm telling you, in history, there are a lot of African leaders and people like the Moors and different people throughout history that were powerful. It wasn't until this new age, this new movement, when all this black versus white had started to happen. It was whatever country you were from. And then even outside that country, because different people traded with each other, different kings, different countries, they traded their slaves and whatnot. You guys keep saying blacks sold themselves, Africans sold themselves. So did Europe. Romans enslaved their own people, like all those people were slaves. Don't you see how that works? Slaves were everywhere. You were either rich and owned things, or you were a slave, or you were poor. There was a difference between slave and poor, but they were about the same, so to speak. The difference between slave and poor is slaves were owned, while poor could go freely be poor, if that makes sense. They had to work and stuff. So then you go up into, you guys can do a lot of your own independent research. You go into Ireland and Britain. And the thing is, people will be like, the English people, the English, the UK. First of all, the Briton and the English are two different things. And this might sound confusing because they're in Britain. So imagine what happened with South Africa. How those people came into South Africa, took it over, and now South Africa is their country. That's what happened to the British. Okay, so I'm going a little bit ahead, so I'm gonna come back a little bit. The Romans were going through conquering all of Europe. And before I hear a lot of Judean and Jewish people complain about Romans. They were receiving help from Judah. This in like 161 BC, they were under a military alliance. They were helping them before Rome betrayed them, I guess, or however it works. So then Rome was conquering all these nations. They were going up north, up north. Well, around like, I want to say between 400 AD and 750 AD, there was an emergence of something called the Anglo-Saxon Frisians and Jutes. These were like barbarian tribes. They were like Vikings. I think they were like High Dutch. If you want to go even higher, it's like the Dutch people and the Germans and what we would consider the French now. I don't know what the Jutes are. I think it's like, I don't even really know. I'd have to do more research on that. But so essentially, all these barbaric people started coming down and fighting the Romans, which the Romans were powerful and they were fighting them back. But eventually the Romans ran out of resources and couldn't keep fighting these people. So they basically kicked them out. So then, after the Romans had basically started getting pushed down, then you would have the emergence of these Anglo-Saxons, Frisians, Jutes. These people, after Rome had enslaved and done a bunch of stuff, then they had started conquering Britain. They took over Britain, started going up north and taking Britain over. Once they took Britain over, after they had done that, then they basically started usurping over the Irish. So it's like a time frame or a succession. And what makes it even crazier, the British didn't speak English. That's an Anglo-Saxon word, Anglish. It became Angleland. A lot of words have been switched up over time. There was no J's and there was a lot of other stuff that was different. But then English appears and then the United Kingdom becomes a big superpower or a big giant. But even that took time because before that happened, you're looking at like France. France was a power. So this is why I say a lot of times I call things whitewashing and I say they're trying to mix things up and lie about things and call like people of color violent and dangerous. So you guys go do research on the Anglo-Saxons and learn what kind of people they were and how they were civilized and how anybody was civilized. I keep telling you all, 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago, Caucasian people weren't in written history. They come from the Caucasus Mountains up north from the European areas. So you're looking at people that migrated up there a long time ago and then came back down once the conditions became too harsh, so to speak. Cave peoples. You still have people in like Afghanistani videos and Iranian videos that are living in caves and stuff. There's like, but they did it way up further north. So then you would have the emergence of like Russia and the Slavic people and stuff like that. It depends on what time period you have the Mongols and stuff too. But basically all of Europe, you're looking at like wars, enslavement and torture until the Americas and around that time came, you're looking at more like black and white. Because I just watched a video confirming what I already knew, that there were colonies in the north that were, the British king, which would have been English at the time, was sending people to the Northern American colonies to work as indentured servants, but they were really slaves, Irish too. And what ended up happening was a bunch of them came over here and they started mixing with black people. They were like, we don't understand, they're people. And they're like, you're talking mixed people everywhere. Started mixing. So then that's when they started to institute around like the 1700s, they started to institute the whole black versus white. You notice later on it became white water fountains, white people, Caucasians, master race white around Germany and stuff in the 1800s. You see what I'm saying? People like Theodor Herzl who taught Hitler. These are like people that are coming out with like, I don't want to say Zionism because they were Zionists. I'm telling you all the truth. This isn't a lie. This isn't rhetoric. But they're basically trying to usurp a race now to give people hope, to make them feel better than other people, to give them some type of racial strength. When none of it's true, it's a racial construct. It's a system to divide people. So I said all that to say this. I know a lot of times people like to argue over what color some man god is and who are the master race of people and all that stuff. You guys, that's like if you walked up to a litter of cats, because they're all cats and they're all different colors, and you guys start like, Of course, you're going to have your favorite color, whatever. That's like a whole nother situation. But what I'm saying is, if you take that favorite color and then start murdering those other cats in the box because you like this cat, that's like what humankind is starting to do. It's a new system and it will be broken. It's been about 400 years and it ends here. People are starting to wake up and we're not with that foolishness anymore. It's time to be humble and be more self-aware and understand our surroundings and understand the genetics of the situation. So ultimately, genetically, people ask me then, how did Caucasians, humankind. Long time ago, inherently enough, we are primates. We came from a species of apes and evolved. Plenty of you have watched Pokemon. You know what evolution is. So then the genes and the cells evolved. If you don't understand what evolution is, go plant 2 flowers and put one in a dark closet and get one sunlight and take care of both of them. And when they both grow, look at the difference between the two, and then you will understand evolution. Things adapt to their environment. So, first of all, you're looking at when I say a malfunction or disorder, I'm not saying it's a disorder as in they're different than us. When I say a gene deficiency or disorder, I'm saying simply it's what causes people to mutate and look different. So you're not going to be able to do a science. Okay, let me not speak too fast. I want to get into science. Evolution happens over a long time. It doesn't just happen overnight. And the type of evolution that does happen overnight is called a mutation, and that's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. Okay. So back to the point. You're looking at a gene mutation in the skin, in the epidermis, in the epidermal region organ. I said organ, that might be confusing. That's the skin. Okay, so sometimes the genes mutate and things happen. You look at what's called albino people. They have a mutation in genes, in skin genes. Well, then when people begin to mate with people with the albino gene, which actually happened in history and it became the preferred skin color because people got lighter and lighter, you have people that would then come out a lighter skin color. You guys have all seen albino people before, but then when you mix and mutate these genes and purposely try to have outcomes with those genes, then you have a difference in skin color. Not only that, I'll give you another mutation. This one's more over time. So then you look at this, you take a brother and a sister, you put one down south where they receive sun all day long, and maybe have one up in Alaska or somewhere up north where they don't receive any sunlight. And when you bring them back together, they're going to be 2 different skin colors, only because of the tan they receive because of the sun, their environment. So take a person who is of color, a darker skin color, and take a person who has no skin color, no melanin or whatever it's called. When they go out into the sunlight, there is a risk of the person without color to either get skin cancer, or there's a risk for them becoming sunburnt where their skin becomes red. That is simply because they don't have the gene to fight off the sun like that, like people of melanin do. Another interesting fact, that is why a lot of people of color are sometimes lactose intolerant, because when the sunlight hits our skin, we create vitamin D. I bet you a lot of people didn't know that. So then when you drink milk, it's like a substitute, so to speak. Well, then African Americans didn't have that gene over time, and then the people from the Caucasus Mountains did have that gene because they were drinking milk and eating a lot of meat, versus people that were down south, they were eating a lot of vegetation, plants, things like that. You know what I mean? So it's just a difference in mutation of genes, which is why we look different. You all should be thankful for that. When I think about me being an African American man in America, I think of me being a legendary or an epic or a rare. That's more of into MMORPGs, role-playing games, the color of an item, so to speak. So like when you find a legendary, it's not because it's a legendary because you can't find any of those anywhere else. It's like rare. So when I think of Native Americans and African Americans, I think of legendaries to people who never see us. But to people who I'm around all day long, since I'm around the African American community, I'm more like a rare. How about that? Well, then you take like my girlfriend. Her children had never seen or met black people until they were teenagers. So a black person or a person of color is a legendary to them. That's just a funny way of thinking of it. I'm not trying to say we're legendaries or master race. Think of me like As I was growing up, I grew up in Chicago, and I grew up around in a predominantly African American church, people of color. There was only one white woman in the church that growing up back in Chicago. So when I moved to where I was at, when I moved to my new town or a new city that we were in, it was like Caucasian people everywhere, and I was like the only African American. Except I wasn't. I was there. I have a bunch of black friends and African American people everywhere. But I'm saying, like in society, so like I go out, we go grocery shopping. It's like a bunch of Caucasian people at the store. It's new for me. It's a new experience. Well, then you take into consideration however you treat people or however you present yourself is what their image of that type of person is going to be. I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you how it is. Another thing when playing with racism and stuff like that. So I made videos long ago talking about Trump, Kanye, Fox News, and transsexualism and how it could be detrimental. And somehow the world or the system or whatever is flipping on itself. So like Fox News is finally being held accountable for the things they've said. And Tucker Carlson actually just got fired from Fox News. I thought that was interesting. And what happened between Trump and Kanye, that's definitely Trump's like catching all kind of charges, and he's definitely off his rocker. But I don't know, like I can clearly see what's going on and I can see what's happening. So I'd like for you all to come along and try to open your eyes the best I can. A funny friend of mine once in my comments said, "The perfect man, do I lust after him?" And I thought that was funny because I mean, who doesn't lust after being the perfect man? But at the same time, if everybody around me was perfect and did the right thing all the time and was always perfect, I would be freaked out based on the lifestyle that I've lived in. So I'm not telling people to be bad. I'm telling people to be as good as possible, but I think he was being funny. My friend Dan, who's always trolling, he's a funny guy. But anyways, I just lust after a society that we can all be. I know I can see like things exist for a reason. So I can say I want everybody to be happy. But that's not going to happen. It's not efficient in nature. That's why I think religion is dangerous too. We give a lot of parameters and things to live by. These religious men are saying, do this and do that and live like this and live like that. That's like going up to a cat or a dog and saying, you're going to follow my commands right now or else I'm going to abuse you forever. Like that's what we're doing to humans, and we got to chill, man. You guys with the religion. Like I think it would be more helpful in this day and age if you guys help people at churches and started to like understand and if I were you guys, I'd reform healthcare and try to fix that. And when I say reform healthcare, I'm talking about how much it costs to go get preventative scans to even see if you have cancer and all these other things. Like, come on, dude. Y'all are paying people minimum wage, but expect them to survive. This is ridiculous. And then you're like, they're lazy. They don't want to wear it. What are you talking about? If you make over $100,000 a year, shut up. Leave the chat. Stop talking about how lazy somebody is. And then if you, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like even under $100,000, if you got to make like at least $50,000 or less to be able to run your mouth about being poor. And okay, I'll give you some leeway, 80 to 90 grand, because America's America, and it's tough to live out here, especially with healthcare. But what I'm saying is, if you're not like poor, shut up. If you're not working a 9 to 5, shut up. This is what I see. If you're not working a 9 to 5, every time you talk about being poor and how easy it is and shut up and blah, 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 you're like, that's like a Karen talking on black issues or Candace Owens speaking on white issues that she knows nothing about. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, if you're not part of a group, shut up. You can give your opinion, but it don't matter. Like, my life matters, but my opinion don't matter on certain things. I'll give you an example. I'm not a woman, nor can I get pregnant. So if I go out here running my mouth about abortion, like, bro, shut up. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a doctor. I'm not none of that. I'm a U.S. civilian. So I'm just running my mouth, causing people trouble who are trying to fix things. You see what I'm saying? Or let's say I don't smoke cigarettes, but all I do with my life is make truth commercials and down people and tell them, oh, you're going to get killed, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And you don't experience what people who smoke experience. Or let's say you've never been abused or you're not in an abusive relationship or you've never been. Okay, now this is for women. All you men out there. All you men who have never been raped, who have never been fondled, who have never been molested, and all these other things. Shut up talking about women's rights. Shut up. Please shut up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Because you can run around in your swimming trunks or you run around in your boxers and not have a care in the world. But women got to cover everything up, or else men like you are going to ogle after them. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're not part of a group, shut up. So, as much as I talk about transsexualism, I would like to give you all a formal apology and say, you know, I'm not you guys. I don't know what you, because I was watching a video and, like, dude, I was watching a video of the LGBTQT, and there was like, it was a group of people. They were all in the LGBTQT, and some of them made sense to me. They were like, they would say, I'm gay. Okay, he's a gay male. Some of them would be like, I'm a lesbian woman. Okay, that makes sense. Another one would be like, I'm a male into men. Okay, gay. You know. But then there was this one guy, and I just didn't understand. It was like, this one guy was like, I'm asexual binary. Don't have any idea what those two are. Another one was like, I don't identify as sex. All these other, you know. And if people don't want a sex dude, then that's for them. You know, that's what I'm saying is, in a world where you're not going to tell me what exists, like you're not going to come up and say sexes don't exist and none of that. But if you come up to me and say, I prefer to be this, I'm binary, or I'm a man, I don't identify as all that stuff, you know, I will respect you to the best of my ability, because it's about that mutual respect. But if you start to come teach my kids this stuff, I'm going to rebuke you and tell them the truth. Does that make sense? I'm not going to tell them to hate you, and they will respect you as a human being. But at the end of the day, I'm their parent, so I'm going to teach them what I want to teach them. So with that being said, all you people that feel like being racist and owning slaves is freedom and rights and all that, you keep teaching your kids that, they're going to be destroyed by civilization. I'm telling you, you can feel how you ever want to feel in your home, but once you leave your house, you're going to run into some problems. So this isn't the 1800s anymore. Let's learn how to love each other, learn how to respect each other, and learn how to come together the best we can and understand each other. You know what I mean? Because so I'm seeing audios leaked of like mayors and judges and police talking about lynching people still and killing people and hanging people. You guys are like, oh, America's becoming racist. I keep telling you all, there's cameras and recordings now. Like, this is how it's always been. But imagine how much worse it was when there was no cameras. Imagine how many African Americans have been beat up and put into jail and charged with something without cameras. Imagine how many African Americans talked back and then received felonies. I'm just telling you all the nature of this country and this life. So it's changing. It's getting better. Thank you all for making a conscious effort. This is for the children. I told you all, because all you people that are old and grown and still want to believe in all this magical foolishness and racist systems and vain religion and man gods, hey. But once the newer generation is coming up, and just like the beginning, I will create calamity between the serpent seed and your seed. The truth is coming out, and y'all can fight as much as you want, but the deceiver never wins in the end. So stay beautiful, stay blessed, and try your hardest to live a happy, humble life and be the best you can be, because that's the real American way. Be all you can be in a positive way. And everybody that's still telling people to kneel to the national anthem, I've showed you guys the lyrics to that in one of my videos. You guys are trying to get people to sing a racist slave owner song from the South. And for all of you that keep saying the Confederate flag is your heritage, you should look up who the Chickamauga Indians are. The ancient Cherokee, that flag comes from them. It was stolen by the Southerners, and they recreated it and created it to be the South flag. As I told you all before, when whites and blacks first came here, the British, the Irish, and Africans were all slaves. You're looking at Arabic people that were slaves too. There was a bunch of slaves, but Africans and Native Americans were done the worst. I'm just telling you the truth, and that's history. So stay beautiful, stay blessed, come together, and stay safe. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a beautiful day. Now, oftentimes in a few of my comments, you can see me and a man named John Core Books talking about how the system is set up to where they are basically teaching us a religion, but then attacking us with the religion versus actually believing in it. And so I'll explain what I mean. And if you get a chance to check out some of John Core Books' videos, you should. He's a great teacher as well. So this man named Pastor Dave, I don't know, I guess he usually travels. He was once attacked in Canada by the LGBTQ community for preaching. Now he's in the UK. But the point I'm trying to prove is with these videos is that watch how he is dealt with while preaching in the UK, and I'm going to explain something once he's dealt with.
My friends, the King of the kingdom, the King of the world, the one who has all authority on heaven and earth is Jesus.
Now, he's in the UK, and they have freedom of speech just like America. It's supposed to be free, free, free. Now, I just want you to pay attention.
Hey, mister, you got a license to do this? Pardon? You got a license to do this? Someone asked me, do I have a license to do this? Jesus! Excuse me, the police is there. Jesus said...
Now, you can see he's approached by one of these Anglo-Saxons and how she's putting her hands on him and putting her hands in his face. She's the aggressor.
...to all the world and preach the gospel. Jesus said, I have authority in heaven and on earth. So what is my authority? The authority of Almighty God. This is my passport. This is my documentation. And I'm not afraid of you. You need to be afraid of God. Because the Bible says hell is on its way. I can't be saying my religion. I can't be... Pardon me? Well, what can I do?
You're talking about homeless and bisexual engagement.
I did talk about homeless people. I talked about heterosexuals. I talked about homosexuals. I talked about everything. I talked about war.
Now, as you can clearly hear him say, he said he's talked about everybody, heterosexual and homosexual, but she still feels targeted. She feels attacked. So I'm about to bring up a valid point. If you all do history and if you all really pay attention to the history books and do research, if you didn't follow along with the Roman Catholic Church or Anglo-Saxon Christianity, you were murdered. There was a point in history where you had to be Christian. They keep saying the gospel spread through the world. No, it wasn't. It was violently spread through death and murder and wars. Wars like the 30 Years' War, like all the crusades that happened throughout Europe, like the Roman Catholic Empire and the Grecian Empire, spreading these religions. So the irony of this whole situation is, and this happens in America too, if you go street preaching or if you go bring up Jesus' name in the wrong situation, they will come for you and attack you. So what I want to understand is, after you all bloody violently spread this religion, now you all attack people who follow this religion. I want you all to see what's happening in this world.
He's not a boyfriend. He's gay.
I don't agree with it. I don't need to.
I'm bisexual, yeah?
So?
I'm doing it in the middle of town in front of boys.
So she has a right to run around screaming being gay is okay, and to run around screaming having sex with other men is okay if you're a man, but he can't preach a gospel.
They're gay and girls.
Pardon me?
Why are you doing it in front of town?
Why am I preaching the word of God and exercising my freedom of speech?
You do it in front of people that are gay as well.
Maybe you should exercise your freedom of speech in front of me because now I'm being offended by you.
People that are
It's wrong to preach my religion in a free country? Is it wrong?
No. Not in front of them, no.
So they own the block.
I think it's wrong.
So homeless people own the block. No, I'm sorry. Listen. No, I'm not going to sit down. Oh, maybe you can. But listen, everybody is entitled with freedoms and everybody is deserving of respect and dignity. I challenge you by the law. I challenge you by the word. We have dignity and respect. Every single person has a right to believe and preach what they want to preach.
Now, this is why I want to show you all this. You notice the officer standing right there, right? After all the aggression that these people have just showed him, I want you to pay attention to what's about to happen next and tell me which one is involved. Is it racism or is it religioncism? Because the man is obviously of color and he's obviously preaching a gospel, teaching everybody to love each other. So what's the problem?
Am I right? You're a Christian. This is Britain. And as far as I know, Britain is under the Commonwealth Society where everybody has freedom of speech, freedom of rights, and I preach my religion and I preach my faith. And I'm proud of my faith. You can be proud of what you want to be proud of.
So now, in a world where it's okay to parade in your bikinis and underwear and touch on people of the same sex and show all this sexuality and have pride parades, now you can't preach on the streets.
And I will be proud of Jesus. I will be proud of my faith, and you can be proud of whatever. Sure. What can I say? Offer love to everybody. Take that out of my face, please. Get this on camera, please. Go ahead. Get the camera.
I'm not comfortable with some of the things you've said. Okay?
What did I say?
You've probably seen me. I've been sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. I understand.
Yes, you are allowed to film. Thank you.
That you are expressing your views. Okay.
See, they're even screaming over the police to get to him, and the police is still in his face. What is that? is that because he's the aggressor? Tell me, please, somebody help me understand this Western way of living.
I understand that.
Because this is the UK, but I promise you they adopt everything that America does, right? So at first UK was the big bro, now they're little bro, adopting these racist ideologies. And then what makes it even worse, as they continue to aggress this man, now they're going to check all of his paperwork and all of his identification while not saying a thing to other people.
A lot of what you're quoting is straight from the Bible, strictly, okay? And I appreciate that, okay? That is your honest held belief, okay? But I cannot allow you, okay, to project this in the street at this level when you can see how irate people have become.
What's the law that I can't preach my faith?
Public order, okay?
Public order that I can't
If you're causing someone...
So it was public order to murder all these people, enforce all these people, and enslave all these people, right? The Anglo-Saxons. It was the order to take over Britain, Irish, South Africa, America, and all these other African countries, and so did the French and the Germans with this religion. But now it's not okay to talk about this religion. What?
If you're causing the word of God, if you're causing someone harassment, alarm, and distress...
Who's harassing anybody?
Okay, so I've had 2 people come up to me and complain already.
What did they say?
Okay, they've said that the scripture that you've quoted, or the words that you've said in relation to homosexuality and homelessness has offended them.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Is this a banned book?
No, it's not a banned book.
So am I allowed to read?
So the book's okay, but the man of color that's preaching the book is wrong. I want you guys... Y'all are going to resurrect something, and when it comes, please holler then for peace and love. Because I'm telling you all what you're doing over and over, and someday somebody's not going to like this.
From the Bible?
Are you allowed to read? Yes, read from the Bible.
So I'm going to read people. So if I read the Bible and that offends somebody, so their rights trump mine?
If you're offended, yes.
So by reading is the Bible an offense?
No, I haven't told you to read the Bible.
Okay, so if I read the Bible and someone's offended by my projection of my faith, which I'm entitled to project, so you're saying I'm wrong for projecting what the Bible says? Is that what?
Maybe Pastor Dave should say, is it because I'm black? But everybody then goes, why are you making it about color? Why are you making it about color? Are you guys like dumb? Can anybody hear me? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying?
What did I do that caused them alarm?
Speaking about homosexuality.
I
am talking to you about the Bible. I'm talking to you. These people were homeless.
Please, fellow citizen, could you be quiet while I detain the black man? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that offensive? At what point am I being offensive? Let me know. Because this is all offensive. So anybody that wants to go to America or Europe, they keep saying the dream, the truth, the way. I'm trying to tell you all, if it wasn't for these police, these Europeans, these Westerners would mob this man. And I'm telling you, the spirits that exist, you guys keep coming up here going, what's the wrong? Is it because of Jesus? No, it's not. It's because you're a person of color, and I'm trying to let you all know. So until this system changes, I'm telling you, we need to build up Africa and our countries, because you're going to keep sending people into the lion's den. I'm telling you. And you're going to need God to deal with these people. Oh, these people, am I being offensive? Don't make it about color. I'm just talking about the piece of people who are being aggressive, that passive-aggressive bullcrap they pull. Now watch, now they're going to take all of his identification just to verify to see if they can lock him up or not. In America, we call that search and seizure. They do that a lot in the southern states. You can ask my old buddy Omni Ares if that's true, since he likes to preach on a lot of shit.
I don't need a federal license to preach my faith publicly.
As a matter of fact, I think if I remember correctly, speaking of that man, I was called a retarded, mentally ill dumbass. You can check this out on one of his shows for telling people about the racism that exists and for trying to educate people the truth about the Bible and how most of this stuff is lies and how they're trying to manipulate you. See, in Ecclesiastics and Proverbs, it says God will cause the same thing to happen over and over and over again. And it continues to happen with every generation, this racist, bigoted, lying, false religious system that force you to be religious, but then they try to put you in mental health hospitals and arrest you and detain you when you speak on this religion. Is that a lie?
So as far as I know, I'm quoting the Bible, preaching my faith, and I'm being harassed by the police now for what did I didn't do anything illegal.
Whilst you're speaking to the camera about being harassed by the police, you're not being harassed by the police.
What's going on?
We've just had numerous calls through to our control room, which hence why we're here.
So you need to verify the facts. So you've been sitting here, everything's on live camera right now. It's publicly all over the world
Well, I've
right now.
just turned up here. I haven't been sitting here.
So you weren't in the conversation. So I quoted from the scripture, which is not illegal. I preach my views, which is not illegal. I have freedom of speech, I'm assuming. So I'm creating public disorder for preaching the Bible, my faith, using freedom of speech. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's the calls that we've been getting.
Yeah, so the calls, so basically anybody can lie about somebody and say they're bothering me and therefore I have to be shut down because someone produces
Well,
that.
We need to be seen to look into it.
Yeah, at the moment we're not shutting you down or anything. It's just that we've got so many numerous calls through that we have to come and speak to you.
I think you're getting calls because people don't, they're actually Christophobic. They're actually discriminatory bigots that are producing religious discrimination. So actually I'm producing a call right now towards everybody that complained against me and saying that they're causing me harassment.
Now, when he places a complaint, look how seriously they take his complaint.
Okay, and they're producing religious discrimination. So I'm going to ask you to look into that, please. Okay. And these actually those homeless guys were actually coming up to me, telling me to shut up, saying that what I'm saying is foul words, not good. That's called religious discrimination and harassment.
Yeah, I need to speak to people.
So if you guys are willing to look into that, that would be
I just don't want you to do anything else at the moment because I've got somebody else that's coming down to speak to you. Okay,
So my rights are being infringed. I'm on a time clock. I don't have all the time in the world. As far as I know.
So now the rest of his day is going to be probably spent dealing with counter-religious terrorism, right? Because they got all these secret agents. Because you can call me a conspiracist, but now one police agent has come up, 2 police agents. I'm assuming she's a captain or something. Now we got another one in the back with a vest on, and now another agent. That's 4 agents, right? So am I lying? Has he just broken the system by speaking?
I didn't do anything illegal.
I'm just asking you to hold on just for a couple of minutes. If that's
Well,
okay.
maybe you guys can. No, I actually want to preach because I actually believe that people need to hear the gospel.
Well, you can.
And if I didn't do anything illegal,
No, you haven't done anything.
right? And if I'm not under
That's
arrest,
all right. The other people
Right.
I want to speak to you anyway. So just give us
so while I wait, I'm going to preach the word. So I'm going to continue
He said, while I wait, I'm going to continue to preach the... My God.
to preach the word. I'm going to continue to preach the word until everything's verified because I did nothing illegal.
So let that be a lesson. So, you know what I'm saying? Stay beautiful. He ain't do nothing wrong. He just preaching his views. You know what I'm saying? So as long as you ain't hurting nobody, because he not talking about stone homosexuals and kill them, is he? But I guarantee you, I could take you to some places in America. You could go watch Gideon's videos, that Gideon guy. And he has a video where he's pranking the Klan. And they tell him outright that he's not allowed at certain meetings and they're not allowed certain places because they're talking about that old American way, right? Make America great again. So be aware out here. I'm just trying to let y'all know.